I came back from a business trip. The first thing I did was go find my girlfriend to get intimate, but halfway through I was dumbfounded. My girlfriend has a mole just below her heart, but this person didn't. Besides, my girlfriend and I have lived together for 3 years. She was far from a virgin. Chapter 1. When I woke up the next day, the room was empty. My girlfriend was gone. I'd had a bit too much to drink last night. At that moment, I was still in a daze. I checked the time. I had overslept. There was an important meeting I had to attend today. With no time to think, I quickly washed up. I grabbed my jacket and rushed out the door. That evening, a friend of mine, Henry Davis, was having a birthday party. When I arrived, the private room was packed. They were playing Truth or Dare. The moment I saw my girlfriend's twin sister sitting next to her, my mind exploded. So last night wasn't a hallucination? When did Willow Miller get back from studying abroad? As I stepped into the room, my suspicions were confirmed. My girlfriend, Vivian Miller, looked at me, completely stunned. "Sincere, you're back from your trip? How come I didn't know?" As she said this, her twin sister, Willow Miller, blushed crimson. She lowered her head, not daring to look at me. I forced myself to remain calm. "The project wrapped up early, so I came back. I wanted to surprise you, but there wasn't a soul at home." Vivian didn't think much of it and said casually, "I went back to the family home yesterday. I only got back this afternoon. Wasn't my little sister sleeping at home last night?" "You didn't see her?" Beside her, Willow buried her head even lower. Her face was so red it looked like it was about to bleed. I went to bed early last night. I didn't hear anything. The noise in the room sounded distant, as if it were coming through glass. My mind was flooded with the clear yet chaotic images from the night before. The two sisters looked identical. Remembering the passionate scenes from last night, even now, the memory made my mouth go dry. I mumbled, "I didn't get home until almost dawn. I didn't notice." Vivian gave me a suspicious look but didn't press the issue. "Sincere, what are you spacing out for?" Henry nudged me from the side. "Your late 3 penalty. Shots for you." I snapped back to reality and downed the glass of red wine my friend had poured for me. Chapter 2. A short while later, someone else walked into the room. It was my girlfriend Vivian's old flame, Ethan Sterling. Without a word, he sat down on the other side of Vivian. Ethan had only returned to the country a month ago. The night he came back, Vivian threw a grand welcome home party for him. She lied to me, saying she had urgent company business and would be home late. I didn't think anything of it at the time. But in the middle of the night, her assistant called me. She said a problem had come up with a company project. It required Vivian's personal attention to resolve, but she couldn't reach her. That's why the call came to me. I tried her work phone. Sure enough, it was off. I had no choice but to call her personal number. Vivian usually carried 2 phones. Only her family and a few of her closest friends knew her personal number. She hung up on me more than a dozen times in a row. Soon, she sent an impatient text message. "Sincere, can you stop being so annoying? I already told you, I have something urgent at work to deal with. What's the meaning of you calling me over and over?" After sending that message, her personal phone was also turned off. That night, I contacted a private investigator to track her movements. That's when I found out about the welcome party she threw for Ethan. Ethan had too much to drink at the party and ended up in the hospital on an IV drip. Vivian stayed by his side the entire night. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I sat on the sofa until dawn. When she returned, she saw me sitting there, my eyes bloodshot, and jumped. "Sincere, you're up so early. Why don't you get some more sleep?" I looked at her coldly. "Is your company's project crisis resolved?" Her eyes flickered, unable to meet my gaze. "Of course. With me on the case, is there anything that can't be solved?" A sarcastic smile touched my lips. "Oh, is that so? Your assistant couldn't reach you last night, so she called me. She said the project's problem was extremely serious and required your personal intervention to fix. I was so worried about you, but I see you've already handled it." The moment I finished speaking, Vivian's face changed dramatically. She hastily pulled out her phone to check. When she saw the messages from her assistant, her body trembled violently. How could this be? Chapter 3. I feigned concern. "What's wrong? You look terrible. Were you too tired last night?" "Sincere, I have an emergency. I have to get to the office." Her face was pale as she dropped that line and rushed off. Unsurprisingly, the problem with her project was severe. Because of Vivian's delayed response, the company suffered a direct loss of a couple million. What Vivian did next was even more outrageous. She hired Ethan as her personal assistant. I flew into a rage on the spot, and we had a massive fight. Sincere, Ethan and I grew up together. I only see him as a little brother. Can you please stop being so unreasonable? If there was anything between Ethan and me, why would I have chosen to be with you? People with dirty minds see everything as dirty at that moment. My chronic stomach pain flared up. Vivian couldn't be bothered to argue with me anymore. She rushed me to the hospital, but halfway there she got a call from Ethan. Without a second thought, she dropped me off on the side of the road. At that moment, my stomach suddenly didn't hurt as much. I quickly hailed a cab and followed her. I ended up outside an old apartment building. There, I saw Ethan sobbing in Vivian's arms. He held up a finger with a tiny scrape on it. "Vivian, I'm so clumsy, I was just trying to cut some fruit, and I cut my finger. It hurts so much, Vivian. Am I going to get tetanus? Am I going to die? Damn it, that pathetic sissy boy!" Seeing this scene, my anger shot through the roof. I stormed over furiously. I grabbed him by the hair and slapped him hard across the face. The slap sent him sprawling to the ground. I followed up with a few vicious kicks. I beat him until he was a bloody mess. "Sincere, what are you doing?" Vivian shrieked and threw herself at me. She held me back tightly, her eyes red. "Sincere, have you lost your mind? Ethan is just a kid. How could you be so rough with him?" I let out a derisive laugh. "Heh, a kid? A 26-year-old kid? Why don't you ask him if he's hit puberty yet? Clinging to someone else's girlfriend in broad daylight and not letting go." "Vivian, do you take me for a fool?" I violently shook off Vivian's hand, my voice turning to ice. "We're done, you scumbag girl. Go comfort your kid." After saying that, I turned and walked away without a second glance. Behind me, I heard Vivian's panicked shouts and Ethan's whiny, manipulative words of comfort. "Vivian, it's all my fault. Please don't fight because of me. I shouldn't have called you." Chapter 4. My stomach issue wasn't a big deal. A little medicine and it was fine. I was in a terrible mood. That night I called Henry Davis out for drinks again. His words were a real wake-up call. "Sincere, why do you care so much? Vivian and her old flame are tangled up together. Are you seriously still planning on marrying her?" Vivian was the campus belle in college, with a delicate face and a stunning, curvy figure. We had years of history between us. If Ethan hadn't shown up, I really would have planned to marry her. But now, there was no way in hell. I immediately shook my head. "Since you're not going to marry her, what are you torn up about? If she agrees to cut ties, fine. If not, just find someone else. You're Sincere Prescott. You're handsome, you're rich. What kind of woman can't you find? If she still wants to be with you, just treat her like a free lover. It's not her cheating on you, it's you cheating on her future husband." He winked at me, a lewd grin on his face. "She's gorgeous, great body, you're not losing out." Damn, his words hit me like a ton of bricks. Suddenly, everything became clear. Sure enough, over the next period, she called me more than a dozen times a day. I didn't answer a single one, and I didn't go back. It wasn't until a week later that she cornered me outside my company building. She looked haggard, with heavy dark circles under her eyes. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she rushed over to grab my arm. "Sincere, I was wrong last time. Please don't be angry. The Sterling family's overseas businesses went bankrupt. Ethan is going through a really tough time right now. I just felt sorry for him, so I wanted to take care of him a bit more. Don't be jealous. I swear, you're the only one I'll ever love." She threw herself at me, hugging me tightly. "Sincere, I'll be more careful from now on. I will never betray you. Please come back during this time." I had my private investigator keeping tabs on her. I confirmed that nothing had happened between her and Ethan. Otherwise, if she had actually slept with him, I would never touch her again, no matter how much I craved her body. I felt the soft, supple body in my arms and the familiar scent of her perfume. My body's reaction was honest. That night, we unlocked several new positions. But Ethan wouldn't give up. Every few days, he would send me provocative, intimate photos of him and Vivian. Pictures of them eating together, standing extremely close in the office, or serving each other food at a company party. At night, I would show these photos to Vivian, one by one. I used her guilt to punish her mercilessly. We tried almost every uniform and fantasy imaginable. Even during my business trip abroad, I kept receiving provocative photos from Ethan. I had planned to punish Vivian harshly as soon as I got back, but I never expected to accidentally involve Willow. Chapter 5. In the private room, after a few rounds of drinks, everyone started playing Truth or Dare. Ethan lost and was dared to kiss any person of the opposite sex in the room. Without hesitation, he kissed Vivian on the cheek. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. Many people secretly glanced at me to see my reaction. I just smiled nonchalantly. "Why is everyone looking at me?" "Carry on," Vivian quickly explained. "Sincere, don't overthink it. You know I've always seen Ethan as a little brother." I nodded slightly, feigning understanding. If this had happened before, I wouldn't have just flipped the table. It's debatable whether Ethan would have even walked out of that room. But now my attention was focused on Willow Miller. While both sisters were flawlessly beautiful with incredible figures, Willow's eyes were clearer, more pure. From the moment I walked in, she had been stealing shy glances at me. Even a fool could see the affection in her eyes. Seeing that I wasn't angry, Vivian let out a huge sigh of relief. A few more rounds passed. Henry, my trusty wingman, dared me to kiss any person of the opposite sex in the room. Vivian was sure I would kiss her. She looked at me with eyes full of anticipation, but without a moment's hesitation I leaned in and kissed her sister, Willow. The moment my lips touched Willow's, the entire room fell dead silent. Everyone stared at me in disbelief. Willow's red lips were like cotton candy, soft and sweet. Her eyes went wide as she stared at me. I don't know if it was because she was nervous, but her hands gripped my arms tightly and wouldn't let go. The anticipation on Vivian's face froze into shock, then flushed with a humiliating red. She clutched the hem of her dress so tightly her knuckles turned white. Whoa, Henry was the first to react, leading the room in wolf whistles and cheers. Way to go. Sincere playing it wild. My friends had long been fed up with Vivian and that scumbag Ethan. The room erupted in a cacophony of noise. Whistles and jeers all mixed together. Bang, Vivian exploded. She shot up from her seat and pulled me away with surprising strength. Sincere, she was like a lit powder keg, her eyes practically shooting fire. "Sincere, are you insane? Willow is my sister. How could you do something like that to her right in front of me?" Chapter 6. I ran my thumb over the corner of my mouth. The soft, sweet sensation hadn't faded. I looked at Vivian with a sneer. "Vivian, it's just a game. Why are you getting so worked up? I've always thought of Willow as a little sister. If there was anything between us, it would have happened long ago. Why would I have ended up with you, see? When you have a dirty mind, you see everything as dirty." I threw her own words right back at her. Her face instantly turned beet red and she trembled, speechless. Ethan quickly stood up to defend her. "Mr. Prescott, you're just doing this to provoke Vivian, aren't you? There's nothing going on between Vivian and me. Even if you're jealous, there should be a limit. Vivian works so hard. Can't you just give her a break?" It seemed I had been too lenient with him. Did every stray cat and dog now think they could walk all over me? My eyes filled with menace. "You've been sending me provocative photos every few days, you bastard. I ignored you. And you really started thinking you were something special, didn't you?" I grabbed a wine bottle from the table and smashed it over his head. Crash, the bottle shattered instantly, sending glass shards and red wine flying everywhere. The scene descended into chaos. Ethan clutched his forehead, screaming as he fell to the ground. Blood gushed from between his fingers. Vivian, frantic, rushed to check his injuries. She was heartbroken, tears streaming down her face. Seeing this, Ethan panicked and tried to wipe her tears away. "Vivian, don't cry. I'm fine. It's all my fault. I made you worry again." His words only fueled Vivian's rage. She spun around and roared at me. "Sincere, what the hell is wrong with you?" I narrowed my eyes at her. "Vivian, if I really lost it, I have plenty of ways to deal with him. Do you really think you can protect him?" My words struck her dumb, her face turning pale. She didn't dare to shout anymore. She hastily took Ethan to the hospital to get his wound treated. She dragged Willow away with her as well. Chapter 7. It was almost midnight when we left the private room. After some thought, I decided to go back to my own place. I was halfway through a shower when Vivian somehow found her way there. She barged right in, pushing open the bathroom door. She was naked, clinging to me. I tried to push her away, but she only held on tighter. To be honest, if it weren't for this whole incident with Willow, I could have continued playing along with her. But now, being touched by Vivian, I felt an inexplicable wave of nausea. "Sincere, I know I've been too close with Ethan, and it made you jealous. I was wrong. I'll be more careful from now on. Can you please stop targeting him?" So she was here to plead for her pretty boy after all. I forcefully pried her hands off me. I grabbed her by her delicate neck. With a single motion, I dragged her out of the bathroom and threw her to the floor. Vivian landed hard, clutching her throat and coughing relentlessly. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. "Sincere, are you crazy? How could you do this to me?" I wrapped a towel around my waist and looked down at her with icy eyes. "Who let you into my house? Get out." Vivian lay on the cold floor, coughing so hard she almost cried. A glaring red mark was visible on her neck. She looked up at me as if seeing me for the first time. "Sincere, how could you treat me like this? We've been together for so many years. You never used to lay a hand on me, and you have the nerve to bring up the past." I leaned against the bathroom doorway, my eyes devoid of any warmth. "In the past, I valued you too much. That's why I tolerated you lying to me time and time again, protecting Ethan time and time again. But the you right now," I paused, deliberately adding weight to my words. "You make me sick." I don't know if my words struck a nerve, but Vivian shrieked. "Sick?" She scrambled up from the floor. She frantically grabbed her scattered clothes and threw them on. "Sincere, you used to treat me like a princess, saying you would love me for a lifetime. I don't believe you can just let go like this. You kissed Willow in the room today, and you pushed me away just now. Isn't this all because you're jealous? Trying to provoke me this way, forcing me to draw a line with Ethan. Do you think this is fun?" I didn't answer, just watched her with cold indifference. Chapter 8. Her tone grew even sharper. "Let me tell you, Sincere, don't you forget, if I hadn't saved you back then, you would have died. You were in a coma in the hospital for a week. Who watched over you for 7 days and 7 nights? It was me." She took a step forward, her eyes red as she stared at me. "And now you want to dump me? Let me tell you, it's impossible. You'll never get rid of me in this lifetime." After saying this, she snatched her purse from the floor and slammed the door behind her as she left. I watched her retreating figure and fell into a thoughtful silence. Back in college, I was in a car accident, a collision with a large truck that nearly killed me. It was Vivian who, disregarding her own safety, dragged me out of the burning car. The second she pulled me to the side of the road, there was a deafening explosion. Boom, my sports car was instantly engulfed in flames, and the heat wave sent both of us flying. When I woke up again, a week had passed. The white hospital room was filled with the strong smell of disinfectant. Vivian was slumped over the side of my bed, her hair a mess, with dark circles under her eyes. It looked like she hadn't had a good night's sleep in a long time. She was holding my hand tightly. When she saw my eyes open, she froze for a moment, and then tears started falling, one after another. Her voice was hoarse. "Sob, Sincere, you're finally awake. I'll go get the doctor right now." When a pretty nurse came in to change my IV, she even joked, "Hey, handsome, your girlfriend is so good to you." She's barely slept these past 7 days and nights. She's cried herself dry. The day I was discharged, she stood under the large plane tree at the hospital entrance, holding a huge bouquet of roses, and confessed her feelings to me. The dappled sunlight fell on her. In that moment, she was ethereally beautiful. "Sincere, I like you. I want to take care of you for the rest of my life. Will you be my boyfriend?" It would be a lie to say I wasn't moved. Back then, it seemed like her eyes only had me in them. The memory of that gentleness made me smile unconsciously during countless nights. I swore then and there that I would repay her for the rest of my life. Around that time, rumors started circulating that the Miller Corporation was on the verge of bankruptcy. She hugged me tightly, her eyes red. "Sincere, my family's company is about to collapse." Without any hesitation, I went home and fought tooth and nail to convince my parents to invest. I even risked falling out with the opposing shareholders. After I took over the Prescott Group, the first thing I thought of when it came to high-quality partnerships and projects was the Miller Corporation. Vivian's status in the Miller family skyrocketed. She became the designated heir without any question. It was out of gratitude for her saving my life back then that I tolerated her again and again, leading to the situation we're in today. Chapter 9. The next day, Willow Miller invited me to her welcome home party. Of course, I would attend her invitation. Back then, besides Willow, many other classmates had gone abroad to study with her. When I arrived at the hotel, I found that all these PhDs were present. Vivian was there too. Ethan was probably still laid up in the hospital, so for once he wasn't by her side. After a few rounds of drinks, one of Willow's best friends teased, "Willow, you risked your life to save Sincere back then. You liked him so much, and now he's your brother-in-law. Fate really is a funny thing, isn't it?" As soon as she said this, Vivian's face drained of color. She shot up from her seat. Her movement was so abrupt that she knocked her chair over. Crash, it made a huge noise. My mind went completely blank. "What? Willow saved me?" Vivian pointed at the girl and started cursing. Isabel Reed, it was obviously me who saved Sincere. Stop spouting nonsense here at this point. All the classmates in the room sensed that something was wrong. Isabel Reed also came from a wealthy family. Being pointed at and cursed out by Vivian, her temper flared. Vivian Miller, I was right there. You were so scared your legs turned to jelly you saved him? Do you have any shame? Other people might not be able to tell you two apart, but I'm Willow's best friend. You think I can't tell the difference? Isabel looked at my confused expression, then at Willow's downcast face, and it all clicked. Oh, I finally get what's going on back then. Willow watched over Sincere in the hospital for 7 days and nights. She just went home to grab some clean clothes, and when she came back, she saw you two hugging. She was heartbroken, and that's why she dragged me to study abroad with her. At the time, I even cursed Sincere out for being a scumbag, so it was you, her older sister, who stole her credit and her man. How could you be so shameless? Chapter 10. You're lying. Vivian's face was contorted with rage. She rushed forward to grab Isabel's arm, but was held back by several classmates. It was me who saved Sincere from the explosion, and it was me who stayed by his side in the hospital. Willow Miller, stop playing the victim in front of everyone to get sympathy. Willow finally lifted her head, a light mist clouding her clear eyes. She tugged on Isabel's arm. Forget it, it's all in the past. Isabel looked at her with an expression of utter exasperation. Willow, you've been bullied by your sister your whole life. Anything you set your eyes on, she would snatch away. How long are you going to put up with her? Ignoring Willow's protests, Isabel forcibly took a string of Bodhi prayer beads from her purse. Willow, you cried over these prayer beads every day for all those years we were abroad. She held the beads up to my face. These prayer beads were salvaged along with you when Willow saved you from the car crash. Are you telling me these aren't yours? The moment those Bodhi prayer beads appeared, my eyes widened in shock. The dark brown beads were worn smooth and shiny from being handled. On the very last bead, there was a tiny crack. This string of Bodhi prayer beads was the only thing my mother had left me. I had worn it for 5 whole years. I didn't have time to take it off when the crash happened. Those beads are mine. The room of classmates exploded. I was a big shot in college. Besides my good looks and top grades, I was also the student council president and the sole heir to the Prescott family, the wealthiest in the city. You could say that the line of girls chasing me back then could have stretched from the academic building to the campus gates. Someone pointed at Vivian, calling her a manipulative schemer. Someone else looked at Willow with sympathy, and others took out their phones to secretly record the scene unfolding before them. Vivian collapsed to the floor, listening to the murmurs of the classmates around her. Looking into my ice-cold eyes, she finally broke down. She crawled over and grabbed my pant leg. Sincere, I really didn't mean to. Sincere, I just liked you too much. I kicked her away. Without giving her another glance, I strode out of the room. Behind me, I could hear her heart-wrenching sobs. Chapter 11. I left the hotel. The first thing I did was call my private investigator. I told him to look into my car accident from all those years ago. That evening, Vivian was kneeling in front of my villa. She was slapping herself hard, again and again, the sounds sharp and clear. She was using her full strength. Soon, her face was swollen. Blood trickled from the corners of her mouth. She looked at me, her eyes filled with pleading. Sincere, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please forgive me. As long as you forgive me, I'll do anything you ask. Of course, I knew why she was scared. The reason she dared to flirt with Ethan all this time was that she was banking on the favor of having saved my life. She was certain that no matter how angry I got, as long as she didn't truly cross the line, I would never completely sever ties with her. She, Vivian Miller, would still be the great young lady of the Miller family, the heir to the Miller Corporation, and even the future Mrs. Prescott. But things were different now. She had lost her biggest piece of leverage over me. She was even afraid that I would retaliate against her for the deception, and the Miller family, to appease my anger, might very well cast her aside like a pawn. I smiled faintly and helped her up. I tenderly touched her badly swollen cheek and spoke slowly. Vivian, you're overthinking things. We've been together for so many years. How could I not give you a chance? I know you only claimed your sister's credit because you liked me so much. I don't blame you. But everyone knows you're my girlfriend, the future Mrs. Prescott. Yet you've been carrying on with another man. You've made me lose a lot of face. Vivian seemed to understand what I was implying and quickly pledged her loyalty. Sincere, I know I was wrong. Believe me, I have never done anything to betray you. Don't worry, Sincere. I absolutely will not disappoint you this time. I watched her leave, a meaningful smile playing on my lips. Chapter 12. Vivian was certainly ruthless enough. Just 2 hours later, she sent me a video. In the video, Ethan was on the ground like a dog covered in blood. His limbs were twisted at unnatural angles. They were clearly broken. He groveled on the floor, begging for mercy with none of the smugness he had when he was provoking me. Vivian truly did not disappoint. The only person she ever loved was herself. When her own interests were at stake, the lives of others meant nothing. If a cold-hearted snake of a woman like this ever gained power, she would absolutely turn on me to avenge her old flame. As I was lost in thought, Vivian's call came in. Sincere, did you see the video? I promise you Ethan will never appear before you again. Please don't be angry, okay? I didn't say a word. I just hung up the phone. I called my assistant. Quentin, double the security personnel at the company headquarters and at my villa. Starting tomorrow, dump all shares of the Miller Corporation and cancel all of our partnerships with them. Understood, Mr. Prescott. Chapter 13. The next day, the Miller Corporation's stock completely collapsed. Once the official announcement of our partnership cancellation was released, the Miller family went into a full-blown panic. Nearly 70% of the Miller Corporation's business came from my family's company. Once I pulled out, other partners weren't fools. To protect themselves, they all chose to sever ties with the Miller Corporation. The Millers were like ants on a hot pan, frantically calling me. Of course, I wouldn't answer. I rejected every call. With no other options, the Miller family scrambled to find help elsewhere. Unfortunately, everyone knew that the Millers had offended the Prescott Group, the city's leading enterprise. Who would dare get involved at a time like this? Friends who used to call them brothers either didn't answer their calls or avoided them completely. The head of the Miller family had no choice but to bring Vivian to my door to apologize in person. Worried they might do something desperate, I had more than a dozen security guards come into the room with me. Vivian was forced to kneel before me, stripped of all her pride as the Miller heir. Sincere, I really know I was wrong. Everything before was my fault. Sincere, didn't we agree to get married by the end of this year? I'll agree to it. We can go take wedding photos tomorrow, okay? She cried pitifully, a picture of sorrow. Vivian crawled towards me like a dog, trying to grab my pant leg, but I kicked her away. Vivian Miller, what makes you think I would still marry a liar like you? The trust between us has crumbled. There's no going back. Vivian's face turned ashen as she stared at me blankly. Her father, Arthur Miller, forced a hideous smile, his forehead slick with cold sweat. Mr. Prescott, Sincere, it's all this girl's fault. She's been spoiled since she was a child. It's all my family's fault for the sake of the many years Vivian has been with you. Please give the Miller Corporation a chance to survive. I promise you, from now on, the Miller family will follow the Prescott Group's lead in everything. I looked at the father-daughter pair before me, one a hypocrite, the other ruthless. Like father, like daughter. Chapter 14. Mr. Miller, I began slowly, my tone distant. It's not that I'm unwilling to give your family a way out. It's that Vivian deceived me first, then provoked me with Ethan. My pride, the pride of the Prescott family, can't just be trampled on without any consequences, can it? Yes, of course, Arthur Miller nodded and bowed obsequiously. He shot Vivian a harsh glare. You worthless thing. Look at the mess you've made. Get on your knees and beg Sincere for forgiveness. Now Vivian's face was pale as she kowtowed repeatedly on the ground. Sincere, I really know I was wrong. Please, just give me one more chance. Arthur Miller watched me cautiously. Sincere, the news of our family's marriage alliance was released at the beginning of the year. Since Vivian knows she was wrong, and she didn't actually do anything to betray you, perhaps you could see. I gave him a cool glance. The marriage alliance and the business partnerships can continue, Mr. Miller. You don't just have one daughter, do you? Vivian's expression changed dramatically. She stared at me in disbelief and shrieked, Sincere, you want to marry Willow Miller? What is Willow? What right does she have to take my place as Mrs. Prescott? Sincere, how could you do this to me? I didn't look at her, my gaze fixed on Arthur Miller with a half smile. A muscle in his face twitched violently. His eyes were a complex mix of emotions, shock, struggle, and embarrassment. But mostly, it was shrewd calculation. The Miller Corporation was hanging by a thread, and a marriage alliance was the fastest way out of the crisis. As for whether the bride was Vivian or Willow, for the Miller family as a whole, it seemed there wasn't much difference. In fact, because Willow didn't have all this messy baggage, perhaps she was a better fit. Once that thought took root, it quickly spread through his mind. Dad, Vivian saw the hesitation in her father's eyes. She grabbed his arm in terror. Dad, you can't agree. Sincere is mine. He's always loved me. He's just angry with me. He's trying to get revenge. How can you push Willow to him? Arthur Miller violently shook her hand off, his voice seething. Shut up. Haven't you caused enough trouble already? If you hadn't screwed things up, would our family be in this position? He turned back to me, his face once again plastered with a fawning, hypocritical smile. Sincere? Mr. Prescott, you're right. That child, Willow, she's quiet, never fights for anything. She's been a good girl since she was little. She might indeed be a better fit. Dad, Vivian let out a blood-curdling scream, as if her entire world was collapsing. She had been raised as the successor, the future hope of the Miller family. Her whole life, her sister Willow had never been able to compete with her. But now, in the face of family interests, her own father had abandoned her so easily. I watched the drama of the Miller family turning on each other with a cold heart. I was already well aware of their heartlessness. I'm glad you understand, Mr. Miller. I nodded slightly. Then it's settled. Vivian was dragged away by her father, unwilling and resentful. Chapter 15. Arthur Miller was quite the character. He sent Willow over that very night. I wrapped my arms around Willow's soft body, inhaling the faint, clean scent of her body wash. My heart skipped a beat. It seemed she had bathed before coming. The Miller twins were goddess-level beauties back in college. Their faces were almost perfectly exquisite. Their enchanting figures, in particular, were the subject of countless fantasies. My gaze drifted downwards to Willow's long, shapely legs, which were incredibly alluring. I met her large, expressive eyes and smiled. When I came back from my trip last time, I mistook you for Vivian. Why didn't you push me away? Or is it as Isabel said, you really do like me? Willow's cheeks flushed bright red. Her eyes darted around, not daring to meet mine, and her voice was barely a whisper. I was just stunned. I didn't know how to react. The excuse was so clumsy that it seemed even she didn't believe it. Her voice grew quieter and quieter. I gently lifted her chin, forcing her to look at me. Her usually clear eyes were now filled with shyness and panic. Willow, are you here tonight of your own free will, or did your father force you? If it's the latter, I can let you go. Willow's body trembled slightly. After a long moment, she took a deep breath. Her voice was still soft, but it carried a note of determination. He didn't force me. She paused for a second before looking directly into my eyes and continuing. A long time ago, I already liked you, even before my sister did. So that night I gently caressed her smooth, delicate chin, my eyes fixed on her luscious red lips. You were willing? Willow's face grew even redder. She quickly lowered her head in embarrassment and let out a soft I hesitated no longer and leaned down to kiss her. She let out a small gasp, her body stiffening for a moment before relaxing, responding to me with clumsy inexperience. That night was exceptionally passionate. We didn't stop until just before dawn. The next few days were the same. Willow grew more and more proactive, her movements becoming more skilled. Chapter 16. But a week later, not only was the Miller Corporation's crisis not resolved, but Vivian had been arrested. The Millers couldn't sit still any longer. They pushed Willow to come find me at my office. She pushed open my office door, her face etched with urgency. Sincere, how did my sister get arrested? And you promised to continue our business partnership. Why hasn't anything happened yet? Vivian's arrest was, of course, my doing. Ethan had been missing for days, and his family was going frantic. As the city's youngest self-made billionaire, I had a deep-seated hatred for such criminal behavior. I sent the video of Vivian torturing Ethan to the police. Vivian was taken in for questioning that same day. It seemed she wouldn't be able to escape the charge of attempted murder. I looked at Willow coldly. What, are you questioning me? Or do you want to end up like your sister, locked away for the rest of your life? Willow panicked instantly. A flash of fear crossed her eyes, and she didn't dare to look at me. Sincere, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I took the private investigator's report and threw it at her face. The pages scattered. fluttering through the air and landing all over the floor. You don't understand? My voice was bone-chillingly cold as I said, word by word, that car crash in college. Don't tell me you had nothing to do with it, Willow Miller. My demeanor terrified Willow, and she trembled violently. She instinctively looked down at the documents scattered around her feet. It was all evidence from the car crash. There were bank transfer records, photos, even a confession from the truck driver, and other supporting materials. She was just a college student back then, not meticulous enough. Many loose ends she failed to clean up had been dug up. In truth, I had gotten my hands on this evidence even before Arthur Miller came to see me. I just thought Willow was attractive and decided to play with her a little longer. It would be a shame to send her away too soon, wouldn't it? Chapter 17. Her breathing suddenly became ragged, and all the color drained from her lips. She swayed, nearly falling over. No, it's not like that. Sincere, let me explain. She rushed forward to grab my arm, trying to defend herself. Explain? I shoved her hand away, grabbing her by the hair and pulling her close. Her eyes were filled with terror as she shook her head frantically. Here, let me explain for you. Your family's company was facing a severe financial crisis back then, and your father couldn't turn things around no matter what he tried. You thought your opportunity had come, didn't you? Your sister was raised to be the heir. If things continued that way, you would never have a chance. So you set your sights on me. You staged a damsel saving the hero drama so that I would be eternally grateful and you could use my influence to rise to power. What a shame in the end your sister stole the fruits of your victory at the last moment. You knew your father backed her, so you were no match for her in a direct confrontation. That's why you chose to retreat to advance. Going abroad to study and biding your time, and after you returned, you used Isabel's mouth to reveal the truth of what happened back then. You knew that years of deception would make me lose my mind with rage, and thus, you achieved your goal of using my hand to eliminate your sister. If I'm not mistaken, you were the one who tricked Ethan into coming back to the country too, weren't you? My voice grew louder, my gaze colder. Tears streamed down Willow's face, the fear in her eyes intensifying. Chapter 18. No, I never meant to hurt you. She shook her head desperately. I calculated everything, the time, the section of the road, the speed. At most, you would have only suffered minor injuries. I never thought the crash would be so severe. I'm sorry, Sincere, I was wrong, Willow Miller. You're far more terrifying than your sister. At least Vivian's malice was on the surface. But Willow, with her gentle, pure, and innocent facade, had woven the most venomous web. And unfortunately for me, I was her prey. No, Sincere, I really do love you. She tried to grab my arm again, but I threw her off violently. Love me? I laughed as if I'd heard the funniest joke in the world. Your biggest mistake was using me as a pawn. Your Miller family, one is more vicious than the next. The days you spent with me can be considered interest. Go and repent for the rest of your sins in prison. I pressed the button on the office intercom. Quentin, bring security in here. Willow struggled desperately. No, please don't, Sincere. I was wrong. I'm begging you. Let me go. I'll do anything you ask. Soon Quentin Shaw came in with the guards, looking at the struggling Willow with a blank expression. Mr. Prescott, have the police come and take her away. Give them the evidence of Willow hiring someone for an attempted murder, along with the evidence of her father's fraudulent accounting and business scams over the years. Yes, Mr. Prescott, Quentin replied calmly, showing no surprise. The security guards forcibly dragged Willow out. No, Sincere, you can't do this to me. Willow let out a desperate scream. I really do love you. I was wrong, Sincere. I'll never do it again. Sincere, the Millers are all venomous snakes. Now that we've shown our true colors, I wouldn't dare keep them around. Let them all rot in there. Let them live their entire lives in regret. Later, whenever I was in a bad mood, I would go visit them in prison. I'd see the sister, then the other sister. Watching them repent one moment and go insane the next, my mood would instantly improve. I have to say, damn, life is good. The end.